On this week's episode of Better Humans at Work, I'm joined by Tommy Browne, a design director at a learning and development company called MindGym. Tommy and I used to be colleagues, and at a holiday party one year, we were talking about whether or not it's appropriate to use terms like partner or boyfriend or husband whenever you're talking about a coworker's significant other, and that coworker is part of the LGBTQ plus community. And just so you know, even though this is never before seen footage, this was originally recorded before the COVID-19 global pandemic. So we're sitting a little closer than I'd probably feel comfortable sitting nowadays. But I'm just excited to share this content with you. So sit back and enjoy. So Tommy, you and I work together at MindGym, and Tommy does really cool stuff there. Would you mind sharing a little bit about the work you do in design?
Sure. So MindGym is a corporate learning and development company where we provide solutions on how to shift people's behavior, but we work a lot in the diversity and inclusion space. And for me as a designer at MindGym, I think design is all about making information and ideas and concepts accessible to people. So all we ever think about is how to get people to understand something new. And one way we do that is to make things beautiful and easy to understand and like engaging and exciting, and you want to pick it up and you want to interact with it. But we also just think about how we structure information so that it is more easily digestible, and think about how people learn and think about how people communicate and share ideas.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of inclusion elements of thinking about where people are coming from.
Right.
And so definitely check out inclusive design and MindGym and the type of work that Tommy does. But getting on to today's conversation. So this is actually from our company party that we were both at. I guess it must have been 2 Christmases ago. And we were talking about inviting like significant others, and how this particular party wasn't a significant other party, but it would be fun, and maybe in the future that we'd have our partners there. And I had asked Tommy at this party, I've been told to use more inclusive language, that the term partner is more inclusive because it doesn't assume a certain gender or a certain relationship type. It's just, this is my significant other, they're a partner. So I try to refer to my husband as my partner. And I was curious to get Tommy's take on that, though.
Yeah. And I think what we ended up talking about was whether or not it was sort of co-opted, and whether people who are not LGBT should use that term or can use that term, and then whether that term is sort of loaded with a lot, because in a world before gay marriage, it was a word that we were almost relegated to using. So what we ended, I don't think I necessarily have as much of a connection to it. It's the term that I use, depending. Sometimes I use partner, sometimes I use boyfriend. But it's just, I don't know that I have a tie to it, but I do think that I get how it is tied. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think it's like, it doesn't offend me when people use it themselves. Like, I'm personally call your significant other whatever you want to. You can call them like your turtle, and I don't care. But inherently, it is your relationship to label. Yeah. So you can do it what you want with it. So before I worked at MindGym, I worked at the Associated Press, which has a really strong set of standards around the language that they use. And within the AP style book is a lot of guidance around what terms to use, especially since gay marriage was legalized, whether you call someone significant other a partner or a husband or a wife, and like, how do you gender people then? And what I think, and oftentimes the AP style book has a lot of really like powerful advice on these things, because it's so cut and dry and black and white. It has to be, and their guidance is it's up to the person you're talking to and what they say. Okay,
so it's up to how that person refers to their significant other, and that's the right answer.
And that is what you use when you write an article.
So as someone who wants to use more gender inclusive language and like be a good ally, for lack of a better word, for like my LGBTQ colleagues, like I thought I was doing like a service to the LGBTQ community by not calling my husband or my spouse, but by calling him partner. But in actuality, like I should call whatever I want, including turtle. It's just me, the onus, the responsibility isn't me to use the term partner for myself. My responsibility is to find out the term that's preferred of the person I'm referring to.
Yes, that's true.
But I think where people get caught up is they're so worried about offending the other person. And so, like, how would you recommend, like, if there was someone who wanted to know how you refer to your significant other, like, how would you prefer someone to ask you, like, what term they should use?
I mean, I think it's all relationship based. It's all situational and individual in the person you're talking to. But I mean, for example, that can't be the first question you ever ask them.
Yeah.
Like
you gotta build a little trust.
Trust, and you have to have rapport. You have to understand whether or not they are comfortable even talking about it. Like, because you're right. Like, some people don't want to talk about anything personal at all,
which is fine,
regardless if it's like an out group or not. But like, but you have to have a relationship with that person first, and then I think you almost intuitively understand how to interact with them. But assuming you do have that relationship, I think it's just about asking and being really authentic and like curious in just a compassionate way.
Yeah.
And that's
just good relationship
right. I think that's really what it is. And I think people work is a very weird place because we're like intimately intertwined with people, but not in an emotional way. Like you're working together on projects for a long time, and you may be working with this person 40 hours a week for years, and if they're really closed off, you may not know anything about them.
Yeah. But
technically, you do have an intimate relationship.
Absolutely. So, say I use the term partner, and then people think or question, like, if my partner is a woman, I'm a lesbian, and isn't just the act of having them go through that mental exercise still better than? Like, it makes them think about something they're not thinking about normally?
Yes. I mean, sure, but that's assuming that they are interested in engaging with that topic and not just, like, I think you assume that people are questioning it instead of just making a split-second decision in their head and then, like, putting you in a category.
Well, and then judging me for it or penalizing me for it.
And, like, not even really being like, oh, is her partner a woman? Like, oh, no. Oh, like, I bet in a lot of people's heads, they're just kind of like, oh, she's a lesbian.
Yeah.
And like I don't think that's healthy.
No.
Or helpful.
No, not at all. And I think that's the hard thing about inclusion at work is that we want to have this like nice packaged up rules that I should always use this term and I always use that term. The only rule should be like figuring out what that person wants and needs and giving them that. And so, I hope I can meet your boyfriend sometime.
Why not?
Well, thank you for joining me today, and check out Tommy and the awesome work he does at Mind Gym. And thanks for being on my inclusive conversation.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks.